This question's a little tricky. A lot of people get this one wrong. Um, we're basically asked something simple, right? Let's find the topic of the fourth paragraph, this one right here. And you'll see I include a little extra because we're supposed to read plus one sentence anyway. But I do think that there's some ambiguity in this paragraph. And when you notice that you're kind of missing something, like they're referring to something that they've clearly talked about before, you might want to read back and just kind of make sure you know what they're talking about. So if we look at just the paragraph, let's start with that. Other animals also need to regulate body temperature or thermoregulate, Larison pointed out, but zebras may especially benefit from an extra cooling system because they digest food much less efficiently than other grazers in Africa. As such, zebras need to spend longer periods of time out in the heat of the midday sun eating more food. So, note a distinction between zebras and other animals with stripes. That seems pretty good because they're clearly talking about a comparison, right? They're much less efficient, longer periods out in the sun, right? There's clearly a sense of comparison about this. So dumb summary-wise, choice A checks out. B suggests that a weakness in zebra physiology might be mitigated by stripes. Well, there's a lot of big words there, but are they talking about zebras and stripes and a weakness? Yeah, kind of. They're saying they digest food less efficiently, so there's a weakness. They're talking about the stripes, and we know that because that's the whole passage, and they're talking about zebras. So I know that there's some words here that we don't know, but you can't eliminate this answer choice yet just because of that. You have to focus on the words you do know, and it does fit in with what we just read. C, imply that Caro's research is based on a false premise about zebras' grazing behavior. At no point in this passage or this paragraph are they saying that someone else is wrong. They're just saying what they know, and they're just talking about it as like, these are the facts. So there's no accusation that someone has got some bad premise in their research. That's just not part of this. D, describe differences between zebras in warm climates and those in cool climates. Well, they're talking about temperature, they're talking about the zebras cooling themselves, and when there is a comparison, but it's not comparing different types of zebras, it's comparing zebras to other animals, other grazers. So this is a bad comparison. It's not differences between zebras. Now, if we read on to the next paragraph, it does kind of talk about differences in zebras, right? The team found that the plain zebras with the most defined torso stripes generally lived in the northern equatorial region of their range, whereas those with less defined torso stripes were more common in the southern, cooler regions of the range, a finding that supports the thermoregulation explanation. So it does talk about different zebras there, but we're not asked about that paragraph. We're asked about the fourth paragraph. So we can't bring that piece really completely into it. We just need to think about, how does it support that? So it's tricky because if you do read a little extra, you're more tempted by this trap answer, but that's not what they're asking about. Now we would need to dig a little deeper for A and B here, and sometimes this happens, right? I'm sure you get down to two choices on questions all the time, and that's okay. That's part of the process. You didn't do anything wrong, but now what do we do next, right? We have to compare these two and think like, well, there must be a difference between them. They're not the same. They can't both be right. What is the difference? So here's where it gets tricky. We have to kind of think, well, what is like a dumb summary of what's going on here? This is kind of talking about zebras and other animals. This is talking mostly just about zebras. We need to kind of look at this and see, well, which is more true? I think that's why most people pick A here. The key piece, though, is even if we don't understand choice B's harder words, we do understand choice A's simple words. Are they comparing zebras to other animals with stripes? Well, they talk about other grazers, but if we look back and if we think back to the rest of this passage, the whole point of it is knowing why zebras have stripes. So they're not comparing zebras, which have stripes, to other animals that also have stripes. They're trying to find a distinction. They're trying to find, well, why do zebras have stripes and no other animals do? And look at the paragraph before. This wall we kept hitting up against was, well, why do zebras have to have stripes for predation? Other animals have predators and they don't have stripes. And other animals get bitten by flies and they don't have stripes either. So when we talk about other animals in the fourth paragraph, we're specifically talking about other animals that do not have stripes. So choice A is wrong because this little piece is wrong. And that leaves us with B. Even if you don't understand what physiology and mitigate mean, you have to pick it. So this is why, if your vocab isn't amazing or your comprehension isn't amazing, and there are things that you don't understand, you can still do fairly well by focusing on the stuff that you do understand and really picking it apart. So it's hard. It's a hard question, but it's kind of clear that this is the answer, even if we're like only 80% sure about what we read. So let me help you with B, and I think it's even clearer why that's the right answer once we know these words. So physiology is basically another word for like anatomy, right? Like the bodies of the zebras, the fact that they have stripes, or in this case, the fact that they digest food slowly. It's something about their anatomy. It's something about the way that zebras are built. That's their physiology. And it's mitigated or improved, fixed by stripes, meaning the fact that zebras digest food slowly and inefficiently, a weakness, a bad thing that zebras do, is fixed or compensated for by the fact that they have stripes. So they have to eat for longer periods because they digest slowly. But that's solved, that problem is kind of solved by the fact that they have stripes, so they can stand out in the sun longer because the stripes do the cooling or whatever. So a problem in the physiology, the anatomy, is fixed by the stripes. That's what that choice is saying, that's what this paragraph is saying, and that is why B is the answer. Tough question. Try to, as much as you can, break things down and really focus on finding words that are wrong, right? You know what words are right. Your brain is really good at noticing those things. The SAT knows that. And so a trap answer like A sticks out because it feels 90% correct. And your brain is like, yeah, good, 90% right, feels right. But your job really is to find the 10% that might be wrong. That way you're not tricked into picking these kind of trap answers. So it's a tough thing. Keep practicing, and it will get easier.